Hello and welcome back to the Macca's Talk Hockey Podcast, the podcast where me and my good friend Dan are going to talk about English ice hockey, specifically the NIHL. Just me and Dan today. We had a busy day yesterday, didn't we? We won't go into it too much, but obviously Charlie said that he was moving out and we were all helping him. And unfortunately, to put it bluntly, Dan, the house was not in great condition, was it? They hadn't prepared it for Charlie to move in, despite saying that it would be. So we loaded that. Well, I didn't load it. I actually helped Dad in the morning. Then Dan and Charlie's friend helped load the van with my dad, and then we had to bring it all back and unload everything, didn't we?
Yeah, so we got a little trip to Cardiff.
About an hour and 45 on the way it was.
um, so yeah, we had a little catch up with that. Nice to catch up. It's been a while, but yeah, the day the day didn't go as smoothly as planned. But at least the weather was nice, I guess, if you could take any positives away from it. But yeah, it was just one of those days.
Yeah, so feel bad for Charlie, because mentally he'd obviously ready to move out and live on his own. So hopefully, something could get sorted. Maybe looking at a new house. We'll have to see. But it's just me and Dan today. So yeah, there's been quite a lot of signings, quite a lot of import signings. And we've also got a special interview on this episode with Tom Byrne. Obviously, we spoke about him on the last episode because he signed back with the Telford Tigers. Really nice interview. Talked about his basically time growing up with the Tigers and having to kind of he wasn't thrown straight in, Dan. He did have to spend some time on the bench, just training with the team, getting a few shifts now and again. And now he's progressed to what you'd say a solid third liner who's used to the National League. And I think it just shows to a lot of younger guys out there that just wait your time, put the hard work in, and you can get a role in the National League.
Yeah, 100%. It's all a waiting game in hockey and just finding your chance to show what you can do. And it's good to see that players are out there that are willing to obviously go through the journey of being a young hockey player and really going through the ranks. And yeah, like you say, now he's found his spot in that team. He's able to show what he can do and to show it on a regular basis under Tom Watkins in Telford.
Yeah, so we'll cut to that interview in a little bit. We'll go through the signings first. I have got a really cool idea for us to do maybe when we don't have an interview on the episode where we'll go through our ultimate player. So I pick out loads of different attributes and we have to pick a player to suit that attribute of the ultimate player. So maybe speed, for example, shooting, IQ, physicality, all of that. So we'll do that on another episode. That's something to look forward to. So we can prepare and plan for it, and you can't use the same player twice. But we've got the interview with Tom, so we'll play that at some point. I'll lead into it, but there's been quite a lot of signings, import signings, quite a lot of new players joining the National League, and we start with someone who's not new, but he's returning to the Raiders. I didn't see this coming, Dan. Adam Leishram returns to the Raiders, but as a full-time player, or import. Now, if he can stay fit and healthy, he's one of the best players in the league. As simple as that. I remember that first season he had with Romford. Connolly, and TJ specifically, come the end of the season, were just dominant, weren't they? So skilled, one of the best puck handlers in the league, and he's back as a full-time player. Obviously, Buckman's the head coach. And this takes the pressure off Lasham so he can focus on his hockey. So he's got the whole summer to kind of rest Dan. And hopefully, touch wood, the injuries are out the way now so he can fully just have a full season with the Raiders.
Yeah, I really like that he's back in Romford again. Obviously, I'm a fan of Leishram. I like how he plays his game, and I think it was unfortunate with injuries. Like you didn't get to see last year what he can really do in that team. And obviously he was sort of in and out the lineup. He was sort of coming back, and then his injury would come back again, and it's like it was just one of those seasons where it's just unlucky. But I'm really glad to see that he's obviously managed to get over them, hopefully, and sort of he's obviously planning on coming back on the ice, which is nice. Um, but yeah, I think having him as just a solid player is going to make the world of difference for Romford because I don't think people actually understand how much different your game is when you are a player coach. You just can't play your game. You have to sort of take into the fact of every other player around you as well. You can't just play your own game. So having Latham obviously just as a player is going to make a difference as well. And it's a guy that knows the team. He obviously coached that team last year. He knows the players. He knows what they can do. So I think just even though he's going to still be a player, he's still going to have that coaching head on. And I think it's going to help him throughout the season and sort of working with the players around him.
Yeah, he created a good connection with TJ, so I expect them two might be linking up a bit this season. And that leaves the Raiders with one more import slot left. So they've got a goalie, they've got a D man, they've got a forward. So they've got one in every position. And we'd assume, Dan, they go for another forward because, yeah, they obviously had Miller, Schufelt, and Morrison last season. So they had three imports. So they might go an import forward down. So they need to sign a real big player who can carry them through a bit like Miller did last year. Obviously Miller's not announced as re-sign.
Could
We'll
still
have
be
to
Miller.
see if they can get Miller, Dan. That will be some duo having Latham and Miller hopefully at their best. But yeah, we'll have to see. We ain't going to start any rumors or whatever. Generally, we don't know if they will. But either way, they've got a good track record of signing imports. So I trust that Buckman and the team will be able to get in a good forward if it is a forward, but I'd assume it would be because that would make sense. So yeah, Adam Latham is back, and if he's anything like he was in his first season with the Raiders, that is exciting for Romford fans. Telford Tigers complete their import four quad, if you want to call it that, with a D man. We said that they probably go with a D man, and they have. And we obviously in the car journey up to Cardiff, we were talking a bit about him. And his name is Caelan Murphy. And he's just come out of the U Sports. He played in
It's
the team
McPhee,
which,
isn't it? Not
pardon?
Murphy. McPhee.
McPhee, sorry, not Murphy. Caelan McPhee. Now he just come out of U Sports. I've forgotten the team. I'm just searching them up now. And they finished third, I do believe, and they also had the top point scoring player in the whole U Sports on that team as a forward. I think he's gone to the Sheffield
Yeah.
Steelers. So that's a really good signing. But he played at the St Mary's Uni. Not a point scorer, Dan, but from what we've seen on clips and the kind of compilations on YouTube, a very good skater. And it looks like, I don't want to compare, but McMullen was a really good skater, and he still managed to bring offense to Leeds when he wasn't a massive point scorer at his U Sports team. I think will be similar with Caelan. They built a really good team last year at St Mary's, and he was part of that decor, played all 24 games. So I think he's going to be solid for Telford.
Yeah, I mean he's quite small. I think he's 178, I think if I remember correctly.
So he's
So
five. It says he's 5'10" and 77 kg. Obviously, you can't
yeah.
completely go off that, but he's McMullen kind of height as well. McMullen Wells kind of height.
Yeah, so he's not one of those big D mans that you sort of see from like Canada and stuff like that. He's not one of those big shutdown D men. He's gonna be able to come into this league and be able to carry the puck up the ice and obviously be able to play the puck to his teammates as well. And I think naturally in this league you will see a few more points from him. I think in the youth sports it's a very defensive league, obviously. So getting those points are hard, especially from D. So I think just coming into this league naturally, I think he's just going to pick up more points. He seems like one of those players that just have moments of like magic. He can just sort of carry the puck up the ice, and all of a sudden he's going coast to coast. And I
Yeah,
think that's the excitement of him. But I think for Telford, it's a much needed import D man. They've needed it for a while now, and they've finally gone for it. And I really like the signing from Telford, and I really like the way they've completed their four imports as well.
yeah.
I think at the minute, currently, obviously we've only got two teams that have completed their whole their import like roster. But at the minute, I'm really liking the look of Telford's.
Yeah, obviously it's only Hull and Telford so far. I still think he will get points at our level. He did
Oh
get
yeah,
point.
I think he'll get
He
points.
get he got a lot of assists in his junior kind of seasons before he went to uni at St Mary's. But yeah, good skater. I think yeah, I just think he's going to be the perfect kind of
He's
bounce
going to
off
be a
player to.
smart guy.
Yeah, I think he'll be really good. Whether he plays next to Rhodes or not, I think those two are going to be the top. Well, they are the top two for Telford now. And then you've kind of built the decor to try and play with them. So yeah, it's just massive for Telford. They lacked this D man so much, so this extra import slot has helped them massively. If I had to, what would you, obviously out of 10, we'll go through it on the Telford special a bit more. They're close to finishing their roster, I think. But if you had to give a rating out of 10 for the four imports they've signed, Dan, just off face value, what are you giving it out of 10?
I'm giving it a solid 7.5, I'd
Yeah,
say.
nice one.
7.58. I'll go with that.
I was going to go with an 8 as well. 8 out of 10. I think last year you had a few question marks. Obviously, Yokoyama's a bit of a risk from National One. Didn't quite work out. You had Luca scored 50 goals, but obviously he was getting on a bit. But this is we were saying this quad or imports they've signed. I think this is a step up from last season. I think Tom Watkins has smashed it really. So we'll have to see. But we don't want to talk too much because we want to save a lot of talking for our Telford specials, where I'm sure a lot of Telford fans will tune in. So Caleb McPhee is joining the Telford Tigers, and then there was another import announced, and again, just another solid pickup. The National League is that it's becoming like the EPL, isn't it, with the imports
Oh,
which are
yeah.
getting picked up, but just a lot more Canadians. We've never seen this amount of Canadians come into the English second league, if you want to call it that. So Bear Gudanov from he's from Canada, but he played last season in the German three league. But he spent his time in the SPHL. We've seen players in that league. Obviously, that was the one Cole Cece, I believe, was playing in, Dan.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
that one?
Yeah.
Cole Cece, and then the Solway import Stewart. He played in the SPHL. So he was in there, point of game player. He had a couple loan spells as well to the ECHL where he did pretty well. He scored 11 points in 19 games with the Tulsa Oilers. And then he made the move abroad to Germany, as a lot of these Canadians do. They get to explore another country and also play hockey. Now, the German three division, Dan, is a very it's a good standard of hockey. Just to so people understand, Brendan Welcome is a name who went to the German divisions. He went to the German four league, and we know how many goals he scored in the NIHL a few seasons ago. Gardner, he's gone to the German four league. Is it German, Dan? Or has he gone to
Yeah.
France?
Nah, German.
No, he's gone to German four. So that this Bear has played in the league above. And for another comparison, Walker Sommer played in the German three league, and Sheffield obviously picked him up from there, and he scored more points than Walker Sommer. Not as many goals, but we know Sommer's a goal scorer. But this guy, 6'2", Dan, just he's 25, getting into his prime. It's such a good signing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a really nice pickup. Um, it's sort of it's hard to obviously just like obviously what's it called? It's hard to predict what they're going to be like going into this league. But when you've got the players that we just listed that have played in those leagues before and put up the points that they have, it's a pretty good idea. You can get a good idea of what he's going to bring to this team, and I think what obviously Sommer's got is the goal scoring, but I think this guy's a bit more all rounded.
Yeah.
He's obviously got quite a big frame, obviously 6'2", right winger, gonna be able to play really well along the boards. He's gonna be able to carry the puck really well, be hard to knock off the puck as well. And I think this guy is just gonna be able to bring a bit more of that two-way game than Sommer did. Obviously, no question, Sommer's one of the best goal scorers in this league,
His
but
role
it's
wasn't
obviously
really to be and
yeah, no,
Halfords did a lot of the defensive work. Sommer was a very good
yeah.
off the rush, wasn't he?
Sheffield have signed Sommer to be a goal scorer, and he does exactly that. But
Yeah.
this guy, obviously, with Halfords, he was really young, like for what they wanted from him. And I think this signing here is he's going to be a lot more sort of smart. He's going to be a lot more built into his body, and I think he'll just be able to bring a lot more to this team as as the second import forward. And having that is just going to be so big. And I think he'll be able to obviously you've got a chance there of having him run his own line, Sommer can run his line, and then you can sort of share it out like that. So I think just bringing this guy in, you've got more flexibility with your imports instead of having a Halfords and a Sommer. You've got this guy and a Sommer.
Yeah, I think that's the key one. He'll probably be able to run his own line.
No offense to Halfords though,
No,
obviously
no,
he was
he
a
was
good
still
guy.
young.
Yeah,
And Halfors, if I'm being completely honest, he was a very good. I think he'd be a very good player in a European league where it's not just point production. We actually spoke to Halfors after a Sheffield game, and he said something quite funny. He said, "When I was playing in the Alps, obviously it was very structured. They had a lot of tactics which went into it. He went to Bristol for an away game, went into the corner, and he did in the Alps. He would just expect one guy to come and press him for the puck because it's very structured. In Bristol, three guys come on, and he's like, "What is going on here? Like, is there no structure to this?" So it was very confusing. But some of these players, Dan, the national is just different. Like, it's not as structured as these European leagues, and I actually think Halfors maybe lacked a not lacked. He's more suited to a very structured team because his defensive game is so strong. He helps so much out, and he's very quick as well. So I think this guy is going to be able to just drive a bit more offense. I think with the points he's managed to put up in other
he
leagues.
he's going to be able to climatize a lot easier to the
Yeah,
National League than like a Halfords would.
yeah.
Um,
Halfors was young as well, by the way.
yeah, yeah, and he was very skillful as well. But
Mm,
yeah, this guy obviously playing in North America and stuff like that. He's going to come in. He's going to be able to throw the body. He's going to probably like that big ice in Sheffield as well. And yeah, I do like the signing from Steel Dogs, and I think obviously they've got one more import slot to fill now, and it'll be
yeah.
interesting to see where they go with that. Obviously, do they go with a D man again and go with two import D, or do they go with three import forwards? So they've got a bit of thinking to do because even for the Brit D that they've got, it's not even that bad. So they could just go with three import forwards, and that's scary to think about as well.
Yeah, a couple players I've missed out, sorry. Jake Price is one of them. Jake Price signing back, I think that's a big signing, Dan. You can play him at D. He could be one of the guys maybe to step up and play next to Mitchell King or that new import McPhee. So physical, very quick defenseman as well. I like that signing. And again, Telford are just building up a nice little team for that. And then we missed out Josh Kelly. So we'll do these two now. Josh Kelly and um, Elliot Lewis. Sorry, my mind just went blank there. So Josh Kelly and Elliot Lewis, two new players to the MK Lightning. Obviously, they had a few Brits leave: McEwen, Hamill, Stewart, Venus, Solder. You need to find Brits from somewhere. We'll start with Kelly, Dan. Obviously, he's played with the Bison. You've watched him before. Again, he's just your steady Eddie. Um, Third pair defenseman probably for the Lightning. He'll do his job. He's going to battle it out maybe with Salisbury. We'd assume he signs back. And it's just another guy for MK. They had a few injuries last season. Teams are always going to get injuries. And to have Kelly maybe to step in, I think that's a solid player to come in. He's not your big point scoring defenseman, but that's not why Tim's really brought him in. He's physical. We saw that last year. He fought Carter Hamill, I think it was, or Cam Hamill. So he's a fighter. He's an underrated fighter, and he's just gonna suit that MK team. I think I'm not saying he's as good as Christie, but I think he'll play that Christie role, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure Salisbury has resigned.
See?
I
Oh,
think I
perhaps
think
he
I,
has.
I think he did. No, don't quote me on that. But yeah, no, I do like Kelly. I like the way he plays. I like his skating. He's grown so much since he played for Basingstoke. Obviously going into Bs and stuff like that, he's grown his game a lot. And I think in MK is going to grow it even more. Obviously, the players is going to be around him, the coaches that he's going to have above him. He's just going to naturally improve his game. And I think Kelly's one of those D men that doesn't get talked about a lot, but he's got a very high ceiling, considering the amount he gets spoken about. I think he could definitely do a job in that MKD core, and I think he could do well. I think he really could, and
Yeah.
I think he's one of those players that the MK fans will like. He throws the body a lot. He'll drop the gloves. He's not afraid to do that. He wins most of his fights as well. To be fair,
Yeah, he does.
so it's always real like that. If I am right about him re-signing, um, but yeah, he's a guy that's going to be able to carry the puck up in that big ice. He's going to be able to stretch the pass up to the forwards, and like you said, he's like a soldier. He's gonna do his job, fine, get the puck out, and that's it. He won't be like special with it. He won't be snazzy with anything. It's
Yeah.
going to be the simple D man that just gets the puck out, goes back into the position, and just redoes it every shift. And I think MK fans, just because he's played for Bees and Bays and Stoke and stuff like that, you can't write a player like this off because I think he's naturally going to get better in that MK team.
Yeah, I want to see what he is like in a more competitive kind of team which is battling at the top. That might raise his game. You never know. It might
I
put a bit more pressure on him.
I just hope he can stay fit. He's had a few
Yeah,
issues like
yes.
in recent seasons with his concussion and stuff like that, and I don't. Obviously, it's not nice to see. So hopefully, he can have a fit
Yeah.
season and really be able to show what he can do to the MK team.
You mentioned Solder there. I still think you can't really replace Solder. I think he goes under the radar so much. He was my like best MKD man last season, apart from Forsberg when he come in. But I I don't think he'll be able to replace Solder to what Solder does. But you're right. He's a guy who's not really gonna take too many risks, but he'll just throw the body, get the puck to the forwards. That's what you got to do with this MK team, and that moves us to Elliot Lewis, who I think is going to suit playing with MK a lot more than he did at Bristol. He had moments at Bristol, Dan, power forward, quick hands, fast skater, and he drive at net, and he doesn't mind driving into the net. I think he scored a beautiful coast to coast goal against Milton Keynes, so maybe that earned him his contract. But no, on a real, he's not the exact same as Carter Hamill. I think Carter Hamill's more of a forechecker, will get in your face, he'll do all the dirty work, and he can still get some good points. But brings a bit of different dynamic. I think he'll suit that third, fourth line wherever he plays because he's quick. He's going to have more space. He's playing probably with better players because he'll be playing with Milton Keynes. Their depth is a joke. So I like this signing. I think it's the right signing by Tim Wallace. And yes, he might not be able to put the points up Max Stewart put up or even Carter Hamill, but he's a solid player to bring in considering there's not many Brits at this level.
Yeah, I think with Lewis, he plays in a way that is very. It could be very good to a team that's structured like MK, and I think
A big
not.
ice fan. Oh, I
Yeah,
think
I'm
he's
not.
gonna love the big ice.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything against Bristol here, but I think MK and Tim Wallace is going to use Lewis to his strengths.
Yeah.
Obviously, Bristol they haven't got the depth like MK do, like we know that. So obviously, I think they might have been using Lewis in the wrong way. But I think with MK, they've got their top six done. They can put him on the bottom six, and they can use him as that grinder, like we were talking about. And I think if he gets used in that way, he's going to pick up a lot more points he did at Bristol because he's not been overworked and sort of over. He's not been over expected of what he should be doing.
Yeah.
So in MK, he's really going to have that freedom of being that third line guy. He's just going to be sent out there to forecheck, get the puck, and like you said, he had moments where he looked like a superstar in the league. Like he had moments where he would just take the puck and just skate with it,
Well,
and
he's
he
just to butt in. He's shown in the national one he's a dominant guy for Solon. And Solon aren't even the best team in there, and he still stands out really well. So maybe it does take a move for him to MK, and maybe he becomes a much better player.
Yeah, and he's another guy. He's going to bring the excitement into that barn. Like he's going to finish his hits. He throws some hits when he's skating. He finishes checks and he throws them hard as well. Like
He doesn't even stop. He just
no,
goes.
he's a big guy. He's got a big body, and yeah, he's a really fast skater. And I think MK are really going to like Lewis. Just he's still young, like he's still growing into his game, and I think MK is a perfect place for him to really learn off the best. Really, like he's going to be able to play in this competitive environment. He's going to be able to compete for cups, compete for leagues, and I think Elliot Lewis is just going to be that guy that will really thrive in those sort of games that he gets to play because he's never had that sort of he's never had that situation before. Obviously, he lit the NIHL up, NIHL one up, so he's had that above his head that he's been like the superstar there. But in this league, he's never really had that experience, and I think MK is a really good place for him to obviously get that under his belt.
Yeah, I agree. And someone else who's re-signed is Richard Hartman. Obviously, he was actually at MK, but then Norris come in and that kind of took his position away, Dan. So he moved to Peterborough. So he did pretty well there. I know Phantoms fans liked him. He's a little they say this on the Spitting Chicklets. He's a little water bug. Likes to go out there, throw some hits. He's a quick little player, got a bit of skill. Don't get me wrong, these youngsters have a lot to learn, Dan, but he's got something about him. And I think obviously with Tate re-signing him, that just shows that Tate wants to stick with him as well at Peterborough and have a whole season out of him. So I like that re-signing. And I think Peterborough's a really nice place for him to play. I know they don't have Slava to maybe coach him like Slava's done with all these other young players, but I still think Tate will be able to use him in quite a good way. Bit like Tate gets out of players. Right, one player is comes to mind is Landsberg's, obviously at Bison. I'm not saying Hartman's gonna go on the top line maybe or whatever, but I think Tate will be able to get something out of Hartman this season.
Yeah, Tate's the guy that if you play well, like for a few games in a row, he'll reward you for that, and he'll put you on a line and sort of test you out, and he'll say like, right, you've been playing really good the past few games. I'm going to give you this challenge now. I'm going to put you on the second line. I'm going to put you on the top line with these guys, and just sort of mix it up a little bit. And he said, I'm putting trust in you now. See what you can do. If it doesn't work, fair enough. We'll put you back to where you were, but let's see how it works. And if it works for you, obviously Hartman there, like if it works for him, he's got himself a top six. Like he's got himself a top six spot. And it doesn't matter with these players where they are. Like if it works, it works. And I think what Tate's going to be able to do with this team is he's got a lot of players there that can play up and down the lineup. So he's got a lot of sort of he can use those players in all different situations. So he's got a lot of moves that he can make and just mess around with the lines a little bit if he needs to. And I think, yeah, a player like Hartman, like you said, with Landsberg is quite a good comparison. And yeah, I think Hartman he will still be able to perform like he did under Slava, and I think Tate will reward him for that.
Yeah, I think these players have got to step up as well now with a full season under their belt. Another import who signed or re-signed is Matt Bissonnette. There's a few questions. Is Bissonnette going to return or not? If he didn't, Leeds would have to have four new imports. Aldridge might have had to get back on the phone to Witkowski and tell him to get out of his coaching managing role. But no,
Grant Cooper.
oh man. But Bissonnette's back, assist king. Got loads of points. He got so many multi-point games, Dan. He just gets assists. And loads of. Oh, he's just so good at threading the needle. We know what he could do. So we don't need to speak about him too much. But it's a good start to the team. I think. Yeah, it's good that Biz is sticking around as well because they don't want too many new players. You want kind of that a lot of that core to still come back. Because they got a league title to retain for the fourth year in a row.
Yeah, I mean, at least these players now know they're going to get the puck. Um,
Yeah.
they know they're going to get it straight to their tape, so that's always a nice feeling. But yeah, Bissonnette, he's a guy that he's been around the league for a while now, but a lot longer than you think, really. Like if you think about it, but he's a guy that consistently puts up points. He consistently plays his game, and he doesn't seem to drop off. And yeah, he's a guy that Aldridge has obviously got trust in. He knows what he's getting with. You don't want to be going into the season with four new imports. Obviously, Basingstoke are probably going to do that, but
You have to,
with
really.
yeah, but with Leeds, obviously getting Bissonnette back, you know what you're getting with him, and you know he's going to be able to perform with any forward that he goes with. So yeah, it's a good re-signing for Leeds.
Yeah, so Biz is back. Solway have made a few signings. The first one is Liam Danskin. He is back, and that pretty much completes their decor, Dan. And we spoke about their decor on the last episode, so we won't go into it too much. But third pair defenseman, we predicted this to play with Stuart Kerr, and then you've then got Kel Beattie, Arseneau, Stenton, and Bolt. That's the decor complete. Bolt obviously makes that decor a lot better, just a lot more balanced. Yeah, I love it. I think that decor, they're going with a different route. They might lack a bit of those points going forward, but in the flip side, they'd probably be able to shut some games down more, Dan. So we'll have to see. But one player who has, well, actually, we'll get into it. Someone who might bring some points is Duncan Spears. Was rumoured heavily that he'd probably be going back up to Solway. Obviously, played for Solway in the National One for quite a few years. He's gone back there. Obviously, had 5 seasons with Peterborough, come back from that big injury, scored 34 points in 38 games, Dan. Charlie put him as a ones to watch for that reason. He thought he'd have a strong season coming back, and he did. And he's going to have an even bigger role, I think, at Solway with the Brits they've lost in Alderson, in Callie Robertson. He's got a big role in this Solway team to be a point scorer, isn't he?
Yeah, it's a bit of a different role for Spears. Obviously, in Peterborough, he's not been that guy that people look for points. Like you don't go to him for points, but he's definitely got he's definitely got the tools to be able to do that role
Yeah.
in Solway. And he's another guy that can play both ends of the ice. Obviously, playing under Slava, you're gonna have to play both ends of the ice. And I think now he's played under him for so long, he's just got that naturally in his game now. So that's a further guy to add to that already strong decor that they've got. So they've got both ends of the ice sorted with Spears. And yeah, it's an interesting one, really. I think he'll do well, but it's sort of you don't know how he's gonna adapt to that new role. Obviously, after playing a different role for so long, it's just sort of one of those unknowns. Even though he's been in the league for a while now, but I think if you put him with the right guys, you've got a really good guy there that could potentially run a line.
Yeah, I think he's had seasons where he has had to dominate on the points a lot. To be fair, a few seasons ago with Peterborough, he was one of their top point scorers. He just had that big injury. Obviously, that kept him out for so
Yeah, that
long. So
was.
but he's back home, back in Scotland. Maybe that will spur an even like more hungrier Spears, which will be good. And he's still only 27. Like that's your prime age. So I think he's going to be a big player for them next season. Someone who was at Solway, but he has been announced at another team in the National League. John Dunbar has gone to the Bristol Pitbulls. There's a few rumours about that. It is true. I predicted it. This was actually before those rumours. I said I think John Dunbar actually it just makes sense with Bricknell. And he's signed on a 2 year deal, Dan. Bricknell and Dunbar both there for 2 years. Obviously, contracts don't mean everything because there's been players on 2 year deals who've not returned for the second year. But I think if these two can create that partnership, oh my days. I think at Swindon, Bricknell was playing with Billin and Jones, would you say? Yeah,
Mm,
Billin and
yeah,
Jones for the majority of the season. And they ain't exactly a Dunbar kind of assist player. They're really good players. Billin's one of the best two-way centres in the league. They're not all out assists though. And Bricknell had a lot of offense, but he's now got Dunbar next to him. Could we see even more goals from Bricknell? I don't know. But what I do know is them two are going to have to carry offense. Obviously, Harewood's not been announced yet. We don't know if he's coming back. But those two are your big boys, Dan, the big import signings. Yeah, those two are going to have to do big things to get Bristol into a playoff spot.
yeah. I mean, we know what Dunbar can do when he's paired with a guy that can shoot the puck. Obviously, we sort of Gardiner. He was just feeding him throughout the season. He's going to be able to do that with Bricknell. We know what Bricknell is going to be like, so you can sort of see where Bristol will go with it, and you can see why they've got them both on a 2 year because obviously those guys are potentially guys that are going to be looked at by a few teams even after next season as well, depending on how it goes. So obviously contracts don't mean anything, but if they've got them locked in for 2 years, that's a positive for Bristol, and it's a further two players to add to that core that they're still
Yeah.
trying to build. Big players at that as well. Um, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Obviously, like you said, they're gonna be carrying that offense, and we're gonna have to see how they sort of are going with that because if obviously that we don't expect them to be top scorers like every single game, you know what I mean? They're not gonna be able to carry that out throughout the whole year. They are obviously if they're the two players that are running the offense, they are gonna get cancelled out of a game. You're gonna go into games
Easy
and
target to just try
teams
and
are gonna take
nullify him.
yeah, at least take one of them out of the game at least. And it's like you can't rely on these two guys, which I don't think Bristol will do. Obviously looking at their signing that was alongside Dunbar as well,
Yeah,
he
I
looks
was going
quite
to.
handy too.
Yeah.
But obviously they can't go into the season relying on these two guys because it's just not how it's not going to work. They need to have other guys step up as well. But I mean, I really like these two import forward signings from Bristol, and you know what you're going to get with them. You know what they've done there. They've produced in the past, obviously, 1 season for Bricknell, 2 seasons for Dunbar, and you know exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah, I think their motto this season has just been right. We need a change. We need to revamp our imports. Right, who's two of the best imports in the league? Can we try and get them? Oh, Dunbar and Britnell. Yep, bang bang. They
Who's the best goal
complement.
scorer? Who's the best assister?
They complement. They will
Perfect.
probably complement each other quite well. The power play will be much stronger as well. Britnell and Dunbar on it. And yeah, I'm not looking forward to playing against Swindon. You know, Britnell's going to up his game against Swindon. It always happens with former players. We've said it so many times. But as you said, Bristol going to need that depth to help them as well, which gives rest to those top guys as well. Because that's not going to get you in a playoff spot if you just overplay your top guys. And one of them who might help them, it's another not unknown, but this guy does look like he's going to have a big part in their offense, Dan. Jacob Bryceland, 21 years old, 6'2". He was actually in the Telford Tigers youth, and I saw a few Telford Tigers fans a bit frustrated he didn't come to them and he's gone to Bristol. We don't really know what, but he's made the decision to go to Bristol. And he was playing in the prep in America, so he's obviously with the juniors. But since 2021, he's been with the prep schools in America, and then in a junior Premier League, where he got a lot of points in that. We don't know the standard; it's hard to compare it to the national. But out of all of the kind of young players they've signed, Dan, this one excites me the most because he's kind of been away for a long time and he's played in some prep schools, which I know are very competitive with those younger players. So yeah, it's a risk, but is it a risk? I don't know how to describe it because there's so many new players coming in.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a risk. I think they're bringing in a guy
Not
that,
risking anything, so no, it's not a risk.
yeah, yeah, they're bringing in a guy. He's a brick guy. He's been away. He's elevated his game most likely. I can imagine. Obviously, playing in America, he played a few stints in Norway as well. As under 18, so he's obviously going to have elevated his game, and now going to be coming back into the National League. And I think it. I don't know if you could put it as low risk, high reward standard. I
So
don't
I
know if
think
you could
we'll have
put
a
it.
big part to play.
Yeah, I don't know if you could put it under that sort of category, but I think he's a guy that is definitely going to sort of come in, and if he comes in and hits the ground running straight away, I think you'll have a good year. But there's always a chance that he's going to take a bit of time to get used to this league, and you always have that. Obviously, Brits coming back from obviously America. It's a big transition change. I mean, the positive is that he's played in England before. Obviously, he was very young when he was doing that, but coming back into the National League has changed a lot since he was back in the UK. So there's going to be a bit of that transition period, but I think he'll do well. I think in Bristol, he's going to be able to sort of show what he can do. He's obviously been trying to prove himself out in America and stuff like that. So now he's able to prove himself back in the UK. So yeah, I
Yeah,
think he should do good.
he played in the USPHL Premier. That's also what another one of their youngsters played in, who they've signed, Dawson Williams, the Welsh lad, and Dawson has got much less points than Jacob, and I think Dawson again, he's one of their low risk, high reward ones, but I think this Jacob has been proven to be a top point scorer, so. We'll have to see. But there's a lot of new faces. Obviously, got Josh Batchin as well. The two new imports, Dawson. You got Max Wigfield, 6'5". So they've got a big tool kind of core, Dan. So maybe we'll see a different kind of style with a few skilled players in there as well. Because Cam Hamill can throw the body as well. Owen Smetham, we don't really know too much how he's going to play out, but if he's anything like his brother, that's exciting. So yeah, excited signing for Bristol. And I think, Dan, that wraps us up because there's been no signings today.
We got one more. Got one more.
Oh, sorry, Ty Cathcart.
No, two more.
Ty Cathcart was announced. I forgot about him because I mentioned on the last one, will he get signed? Well, he has been signed. And I believe you might be interviewing him soon, maybe for the Bison podcast. So we will have to wrap up soon. But he's re-signed Dan. We've spoke about him so much. He's improved so much, and I think he'll improve even more under um, uh, an even more experienced coach. So hopefully he gets the minutes and yeah, exciting for him to be a part of that Basingstoke team. I'm glad he's got that role in the national. Who's the other one? I forgot.
The guy that was announced with Duncan Spears, Joey Coulter,
Oh, Coulter, yeah, he's the other Scottish one. I should have said him when I
the
mentioned Danskin.
workhorse.
But yeah, we mentioned him a few episodes ago. Whether will he sign? Is he going to come back? Well, he is back, and that's a big player for their third line. Might get bumped up a line. We'll have to see. But I think his role was very good on that third line to kind of help the likes of Torren Anderson, and you've got Kyle Carruth as well coming up. You've also got that other youngster, Bailey Thompson. So he's really good with those younger guys and not a veteran, but a more experienced player to help him. So, yeah, I like that re signing as well with Duncan Spears. I don't think Solway are done yet. Obviously, they've got one more import slot as well. Anything else to add, Dan, before we cut to Tom Byrne?
No, I think that's all. I think from
Nice.
what I
All
can
right.
think of off the top of my head.
Right, we'll cut to Tom Byrne's interview. Hope you enjoy and welcome back. We got another interview. I'm delighted to be joined by Telford Tigers. He's just signed or re-signed for this season. Tom Byrne, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. You just saying off camera then you're away in Switzerland. Not a bad little place to go in the summer.
No, it's a bit different to the usual, but I enjoy it.
Nice one. Obviously you've re-signed. I think this is it your fourth season now? This will be coming up.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, fourth season.
And you've been in Telford pretty much your whole career. Do you want to talk us through kind of growing up? How did you get into ice hockey?
So I originally started. I was on holiday in Switzerland, and
Okay,
we were just
that's
walking through the
coincidence.
town, um, and there was like an outdoor game in the middle of the village.
Oh,
So
nice.
I'd seen that, and ever since then I was hooked. So yeah.
Do you live in Telford then? Do you?
No, I live. I'm not really local. It takes me about an hour and a half to get there. I live
Okay.
sort of near Chester, if you know where that is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And was
a bit.
Telford kind of the local kind of rink then? Was it?
Well, I started in D side
Yeah,
from
yeah.
early on, and then I think I sort of moved at the end of under 14s, and then it sort of all changed to under 15s, and yeah, that's when I sort of moved.
Nice one. Well, there was probably when you were in your juniors, there's quite a lot of good Telford Tigers teams, obviously. But at the end of the EPL, they had some crazy teams, and then
Yeah.
the national one, they had some really good teams. I think they won the league a few times. They beat Swindon
Mm.
to it. So, who was kind of the players you grew up watching in that Telford Tigers team?
I mean, I never really got much chance to watch because of just how
Okay,
far away I was, but I think I might have started watching a few of the first National League season.
yeah,
It was probably the time where I saw the most of the games when I think like Brandon Whistle and players like
oh
that were
yeah.
there. So he was probably sort of one to watch back then. But, yeah.
Yeah, that was the season I think they just beat Swindon to it. They had this crazy cup game as well where they won on the shootout. I've forgotten what his name was, but it was Whistle and this Canadian guy, and they just used to score so many goals on
Yeah.
Swindon.
Mm.
Um, talk us through it then. Obviously, going through the Telford ranks. When did you find out you were going to be playing your first kind of National League game?
Well, I think it was my last year of the under 18s. I played for them and the D2 team. And I think my first game was sort of when COVID sort of after the first wave of COVID and
Yeah,
the people out with COVID, and I sort of got a chance to play two games then.
nice one.
So that
I
was
remember that
sort of the first
actually
game. Yeah.
because Basingstoke missed like half their team, I think, and then loads of juniors got to play. So was that
Mm.
kind of your way into to getting a few games then?
Yeah, that was my first sort of experience. So that was good. Got a few shifts in it as well. So yeah, it
Nice one.
wasn't too bad.
Have you always been quite a tall kind of hockey player since you were younger?
Um, Not really. No, I mean, I had a massive growth spurt in the COVID sort of lockdown. Like I shot up really from about 5'10" to just about 6'2". So
Really? Well, what was kind of your first kind of interaction, I guess, with Tom Watkins? Because he's been around the Telford setup for a long time. I'm sure he kind of took you and fed you through the training sessions, stuff like that, and
Yeah.
now you're full time with the Tigers. So kind of talk through your relationship with Tommy.
Well, I think I must have been about 8 or 9, and I guested for Telford in one of the Sheffield tournaments, like
Oh,
under eights
wow.
or under 10s. So that was probably my first time sort of meeting him. And then I always used to go on, because my brother's a goalie. I used to go and shoot on their goalie camps. So that was my first sort of time getting to know him and things. And then obviously when I moved to Telford as a junior, you're around them more and things like that, and it just sort of progressed from there, really.
What was kind of the first? I always ask younger players who had their first national. What was kind of your welcome to the big leagues, men's league, national league moment? Where did you? Was there a big hit? Did just someone stole the puck off you just like that?
The first 2 games, I don't think I really got a big hit on me, but you can just tell straight away there's strength in the players and the speed and decision making and all that. It was just another level, and especially how I just sort of shot up and grown. My body was all over the place, really. So probably didn't help, but you quickly get used to it and things like that. And
I
yeah,
think I think Mackenzie and Danny Rose are kind of the last couple, and Brad Day, if you want to call it that,
mm,
kind of the veterans who have played for Telford over those many years. Obviously, Silverthorne played a couple of games last season as well,
yeah.
but who was kind of one of those veteran guys who is taking you into the team, making you feel welcome, kind of thing.
Well, they all have really, but I think especially this year, Jason being on the bench for most of it,
Yeah,
like having someone like that just to talk to you after your shift. I mean, I think it helped me so much. Like previous years, you've only got Tom really there working the bench, and obviously he's watching the game and everything else, so he doesn't really have time to speak to you in the middle of the game to help you with things. But I think Jason there to do that really just improved me and helped build my confidence and things like that.
yeah, I think I'm really happy for him. He's got that Telford twos player coach now, so he's still going
Yeah.
to be playing.
Hmm.
And they've moved up, I think, to the National One now, I think.
Yeah.
So that'll be really good for them. But what was it like then, that first full season? I think it was the 22-23 season, full season. I assume you were playing kind of fourth line role, maybe getting a few third line shifts as well.
Mm. Yeah, mostly it was just sort of when I got the opportunity to play a bit more, just try and take it as much as you can. And I sort of played that role mostly for the past 2 seasons. And then there was a bit of an injury crisis last year where I got to play a bit more regularly. And then the same again this year. It was
Yeah.
about Christmas where I sort of got a real chance and just tried to take it as best as I could and go from there, really.
Yeah, we'll get to last season in a minute, but that 23-24 season, did you play in the Coventry semi-final? I hate to bring it up.
Yeah, yeah.
What was that like? Because that must have been, was that kind of your first kind of experience at Coventry?
Yeah, I'd never been before, and yeah, it was
Really?
my first experience, so it was really good to be a part of. But obviously, losing out, I think it was some crazy scoreline with Leeds, wasn't it?
Yeah, and
Just
well,
going back and forth, and
and then the one which went over the, well, it didn't go over the line, but they gave it over the
oh
line.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then,
that was the next year against Peterborough, wasn't it?
oh,
Yeah,
that must
I
have been
remember that
horrible.
one. Yeah,
Well, I'm sure you can't say everything, but I'm sure the dressing room was absolutely shocked when they saw that the puck didn't
yeah,
actually cross the line.
yeah. I think I remember seeing it might have been one of your videos on
Yeah,
Twitter, and actually just watching the video back and seeing that it didn't go over the line. But
I happened to be recorded as they were coming because I was like, I want to get the overtime goal and record. And I recorded, I
mm,
watched it back. I was like, I don't think that's crossed the line. And then it just retweets after retweets after retweets. But obviously, they've got goal line tech now. So it's obviously taken something like that for
yeah,
it to happen.
mm,
But moving on to this season, we spoke quite a bit on this podcast. This was kind of your season where you got quite a lot more chances. You got used to the league. I think before the season started, Scott McKenzie said, "Watch out for Tom. I think he's gonna have kind of his breakout season." How did you find it getting bigger roles? You mentioned those injury crisis. There's quite a lot. Obviously, Louis and Adam had to play at D,
mm.
so that kind of gave you that third line role.
Yeah. And I mean, I really enjoyed it once I sort of got into it and knowing you're going to be playing regularly and actually having an impact on the team. It feels really good. It just improves your confidence as well. So,
Yeah. Who are your line mates playing on that? Because I know James Smith really had a sick year this year.
yeah, he did. He seemed to score every game he played. But, it bounced around a lot. I think think I played my first sort of chance was I think it was against Swindon, and I was playing with James Smith and Adam Harding,
Mm.
and then it went to James Smith and um, Joe Aston, Edgar Landsbergs, Lucas Price. It was a whole thing, and then I think we ended in playoffs. It was me, Joe Aston, and Edgar's. So
Yeah, and
bounced all over the place, really.
talk through the kind of change then. Obviously Thompson comes in, Henderson comes in, two fresh imports who'd actually played together as well in Poland. What was the switch like? Because it was quite a tough first half of the season. Them two come in and it kind of, you guys found your form again. They were scoring a ridiculous amount of points. So yeah, how was it with them two coming in that second half of the season, getting
Mm.
back into that playoff spot?
Well, I think they did make an instant impact, really, didn't they? And some of the things they were doing, and even the minutes they were playing, was crazy. And how they were still able to do it. But I mean, I think like previous years, that second half of the season, we always seem to push on
Yeah.
more and just fighting for that playoff space. So
Who's
yeah,
the guys in the dressing room? I think if I remember, you were 6 points behind Solway at one point, and they were in the playoff spot.
mm.
How do you keep the positivity going in the dressing room? Obviously, it's not quite going your way. You've got a lot of injuries. I think Danny Rose was out for a few months as well. How do you kind of keep that positive mentality to say, yeah, we can do it?
Well, I think like we've done it before, really. I mean, last year and the year before, we were always in a sort of dogfight for the playoff spot, and we always sort of had that belief. And I think we sort of knew that Solway, I think they lost their rink for about 2 or 3 weeks, so we knew like that might hit them hard. So as long as we kept picking up points every weekend, that we were always going to sort of be in with a chance to qualify for the playoffs.
Yeah, and then it get to the playoffs. I got to say, I think you had quite a solid playoffs. Obviously, you got given that opportunity, and I think you got 5 points in those six playoff games. How was that
Mm.
for you? Getting kind of, I'd say your first big opportunity in those big games in playoffs.
Yeah, I think well, the more responsibility and just the playoff mentality, you've sort of just got to go for it, really, and you can't really leave anything behind. So I thought it was just a chance to prove myself that I can do it and help the team qualify or try to qualify with as best a chance we could.
Yeah, and one player who's still going, he's back for another season. Mackenzie, he's been around for ages. How's it been playing with him? I don't know if you've actually played a few shifts with him or because he's still spent his time on the top six, but how's it been playing with him? Obviously, he's back next season as well. We don't know what the lines will be, but he might be bouncing between the third line
Mm.
maybe as well.
Yeah, he's just so smart, and when I have had chances to play with him briefly, even if it's the end of a shift and he's still out there, like you always know he's going to try and find you with a pass, and the defenders might not be able to see it, but he sure can. So I think he's given me a few assists over the years and etc. So yeah, it's good to play with him.
We've mentioned a lot in like the pre-seasons leading up, all the signings being announced. How excited are you with the roster building? It's looking like a really much more depthy team. Obviously Thompson and Henderson are both back, which I'm sure you're really happy with as well.
Mm,
But how excited are you going into this season with? Yeah, you've got a lot of players going into this season.
yeah, I mean, I sort of wish it could start now, but I think we're looking like underdogs. Really, I think our
Yeah,
team's looking pretty good. The new import as well, Patrick. He looks
oh,
pretty good on
he
paper.
does.
Some of
Yeah.
the goals he scored look good. So hopefully, you know, we have a good season this year.
One guy I think really took a step last season and he got given quite a lot of responsibility. I dread to think what his ice time was, but Rhodes last season, he was up there for D man of the season for me. The amount of minutes he had to take up, he took on that role and with the struggle in D. He scored
Mm.
so many big goals, big points. How cool's it been playing alongside him? Because yeah, he's establishing himself as one of the best D in the league.
Yeah, I'd played with him in the past, and he was just always that sort of defenseman. Whenever you're out on the ice, you sort of feel safe. So it's good to have someone like that behind you, and he does pop up with a good goal every now and then, doesn't he? So
I
it
think
sort of definitely helps, doesn't it?
I think there was a game last season you tonked us at your place and he scored a couple goals. One of them went straight through Rennie. I think he'll want that one back. But
Mm,
I think the improvement he's had, I think when you had Hazeldine that one season, he was kind of the number two D man, and then now he's the number one. And I don't know what Tom Watkins got planned, but I'm sure he might have an import D man maybe to come in. But
Yeah,
yeah, the D especially, I think, has taken a big improvement. Well, with the players you've got signed up already.
yeah, and I think Jake Price as well. I think he got
Yeah.
announced today. I think having him back as well, it's just another player that just strengthens our D. I mean, as you saw last year, we had two forwards playing D, and they were both really good. But probably always best to have two actual defensemen there and let them play forward. But yeah,
Look,
hopefully if we can improve that,
yeah.
this will be a much better team this year.
Obviously, you had Noah out the whole of last year as well, and he
Mm,
looked like he was going to be really exciting. Um, Nuo as well. He played D last year. He's expected to play forward this year. Before he went to D, actually, he was scoring quite good points on that third line. Maybe someone
yeah,
who you might have a good partnership with next season.
yeah. I think it was not the season just gone, but the one before. I sort of played with him at the end of the year, so and I enjoyed it. I mean, I think we're sort of both similar type players,
Yeah.
so who knows this season? But yeah, I wouldn't mind playing with him.
From a team perspective and a personal goal perspective, because you're still, was it 21 years old? What's kind of your goals going into next season, your fourth season? It's looking like a much depthier team, as you said, looking quite going under the radar a bit with the team you've signed up. What's kind of the team's goals? I don't know if you spoke about it because it's still the summer, but what kind of goals are you setting yourself? Do you set yourself point goals, or is it more just see how it goes and see if you can improve yourself and know that you've
Mm.
improved?
Well, I think the team goals will obviously be to try and win a trophy. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a pretty important year for the club, the 40th anniversary. So
Yeah.
I think we've got a good enough team to try and push for something this year. And looking around the league, I think we've got a team that can definitely compete. So hopefully that a trophy's sort of on the horizon. And then personally, don't really have a number of points per se, but I always want to try and better the previous year.
Yeah.
So hopefully, if I can do that and have a bit more of an impact on the games and results, and then trying to get more wins.
I
So
think
yeah,
the last looking at the points, you've got one goal more each season, so
yeah,
maybe five next season.
yeah. I know. I hope a few more than that. Carry on playoff form, but no, yeah,
Another one you've signed, he's similar age to yourself, Ben Norton, and he's one of the best young goalies in the league. How good will it be to get him in to give Brad Day a bit of a rest as well? Because the amount of games he's played the last few seasons, it will create not like a little healthy competition with each other.
mm. I mean, I've played with Ben since I was young, and he's always been like the best goalie around the country for our age. So, I mean, it was always sort of a mission for me to try and score past him, whether we were in training or a game. So, but I think having Ben with Brad, I mean, obviously, yeah, it has the competition, but he's there to give Brad a rest as well. And because I think Brad's played pretty much every game over the past three seasons, so giving him a rest, it helps him get back to top form as well.
Yeah. He's a nice lad as well. I've had quite a few. He's quite a shy guy, but
Yeah,
I'm he's someone who you can just have a chat with anytime in the dressing room, I'm sure.
yeah.
We always end with this question then. What's kind of your message to the Telford Tigers fans going into next season? I didn't actually realize you mentioned it's the 40th anniversary season. The roster's looking good. So what's kind of your message to the Telford fans watching?
Well, as I said, it's a big year for the club, isn't it? So I think if we can sort of fill the rank out more and help support us, we can try and win more games. Hopefully, maybe get a trophy here or there. And but yeah, just thank you for the support, really.
Nice one. And I was just thinking as well, obviously it's gone from 20 games to 10 games to qualify for that cup. So you saw Romford and Sheffield do it last year. If you guys can have a good start, you're more than capable of getting that top four spot.
Yeah, well, that's a trophy I think anyone can sort of
Yeah.
win. I mean, if you start off on flying form, which we haven't the past few years, but maybe this season will be different. I mean, the aim is to qualify for that at the end of the day. So if that's a trophy we can win, I definitely think we can.
I think you ended the season well, as quite well last season, obviously in the
Mm.
league. So you'll be looking to take that momentum. You got some new faces, but a bit like Swindon, actually, you've signed a majority of the core guys as well, which I think is also very important. You don't just want loads and loads of new players.
Yeah, I mean the chemistry is massive in a team, and I think having everyone healthy to sort of start the season will be big as well. And just trying to stay healthy throughout the year and avoid the injuries we've had in the past will be needed this year.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I think there's always every other season there's a team who get injury riddled. So hopefully that won't be dealt with
no,
this.
hopefully not.
Nice one, mate. Well, we'll catch up when you come down to Swindon. I don't know if we'll be playing you in a friendly, but yeah, good luck for next season. Hopefully you can get 5 goals next season. Nice one, mate. Back time to wrap up this episode. We'll have to see if Charlie comes on next week. We'll see how many signings there were. See if I manage to get another interview for next week's podcast. But I'll try and make sure all three of us are on for when we do that kind of ultimate player, which I mentioned at the start of the episode. I'm going to enjoy making one of them. So we'll put that on the Instagram as well. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe, follow our socials at Macca's Talk Hockey. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Peace.